Welcome to Evo India and welcome to our walk around video of what is possibly the most important launch of the year. This is the Maruti Suzuki Grand Vitara and it's an all new SUV from Maruti Suzuki set to take on the likes of the Hyundai Creta and the Kia Seltos and everything else in that very crowded space. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about everything you need to know, including exterior styling, interiors, features, drivetrains, everything you want to know about the Maruti Suzuki Grand Vitara. Before we go ahead though, make sure you like this video, comment down below what do you think of the Maruti Suzuki Grand Vitara, and make sure you subscribe to the Evo India channel. Let's start by talking about the styling of the Grand Vitara. Now, we all know that this is a car that's going to be shared with Toyota. Toyota has the Hyryder, Maruti Suzuki has the Grand Vitara. But it's not a case of Vitara Brezza and Urban Cruiser. This looks very different from the Toyota model. Now, on the front, you've got an all-new face. We've never seen a design like this from Maruti Suzuki in India before. But it's actually reminiscent of the S-Cross sold in foreign markets. The headlamp design, well, you've got the split headlamps, which is a very typical design feature on modern SUVs. The light signature is actually very cool. You've got these three elements on either side, which double up as the DRL as well as the indicator. And this light signature is actually something that debuted on the Baleno, but has now made it into this car. You've got your headlamps below that, and in the bumper, you've got a lot of chunky styling elements. So you've got this really strong skid plate. Come over to the side, and something that I want to point out as a very cool design element is that the cladding on the sides is not matte black, but it's a glossy finish, and it actually gives the car a very premium look. In terms of the wheel sizes, you've got 17-inch wheels on this top-end variant. Now, further back, you've got more cladding running along the side of the car, and from this angle, it actually looks very similar to the Hyryder. Not too much has changed from the side. You've got these roof rails on the top, you've got wing mirrors with cameras integrated into them because it has a 360-degree camera setup. And when you come around to the rear, that's where you've got some really other cool design elements. I really like the taillight design. You've got, again, triple elements on either side corresponding to the front, but you've also got this light bar that runs the entire width of the car. Now let me show you some other cool design elements. You've got the hybrid badge over here. This section here is actually very similar to the Hyryder, and you've got the Suzuki badge neatly integrated in the center. The rear is also a very strong design. It's definitely distinct, and you will recognize this when you see it on the road. Overall, I'm actually quite impressed with the styling of the Grand Vitara. It's tall, it's imposing, and it looks a lot stronger in the flesh than it does in the pictures. Now let's talk about the interiors of the Grand Vitara. There's a lot to like in here, but there's also a lot that's actually very familiar. This steering wheel, for example, is very familiar to other Maruti Suzuki cars, including the Brezza, the Baleno, and other cars. But behind that, you've got an all-new digital instrument cluster. Now this cluster is exclusive to the hybrid variants, and it's pretty cool. I can't play with it right now because the car's off and I don't have the keys with me, but I will check it out on one of the other cars. Behind that, you've got a head-up display. Again, something that's shared with the Baleno and the Brezza. In the center console, you've got this infotainment display, a floating unit, and once again, shared with other cars from Maruti Suzuki's lineup. But there is one key differentiator here. This screen now accepts wireless Android Auto and wireless CarPlay, which I think is a huge plus. Below that, you've got these very logically oriented AC controls. You've got a traction control button over here, and down in this tray over here you've got a wireless phone charger, another feature that's very useful. In fact, this car is pretty well loaded with features. You've got this massive panoramic sunroof, you've got a 360-degree camera, you've got all of these screens over here, you've also got ventilated seats, and with that you've got two other buttons here for the drive modes. Other things worth talking about is the comfort of the seats. On first impressions, they feel very plush, very comfortable. I like the materials used and I like how I sink into them. They seem to offer good support as well, but I'll leave my final verdict on the seat comfort for once I drive the car. That said, quality overall seems very good. You've got a lot of soft touch materials here. So on the dash, in the door cars, there's soft touch materials. There's this plasticky wooden bronzy finish. It looks cool, not the biggest fan of it, but it's all right. It makes the dashboard look staggered, like there's a lot of different elements going on, and that gives it some visual break from the monotony of all the black. That aside, the cabin, it feels rich, it feels premium, and it feels like a nice car to sit in. Space in the back is okay. I've got about 2 to 3 inches of knee room. I'm 5'10", and that should give you an idea of how much space there is in the back, but headroom is slightly limited. I have about an inch of space above my head before the roof starts, and taller people or bigger people might find this a little uncomfortable. The seat, it's flat, so it doesn't give you too much support around your thighs, and thigh support when you're putting your feet forward as well is a little limited. But the seat is reclinable 2 steps, so you can move the seat back slightly if you want to. You've got an armrest here, 2 cup holders, standard business over here. You've got AC vents at the back, you can control the flow of them, and below that you've got 2 USB ports, including a USB Type-C port. Now let's talk about the drivetrains. The Maruti Suzuki Grand Vitara gets 2 drivetrain options, a 1.5 mild hybrid petrol and a 1.5 strong hybrid. The mild hybrid is essentially Maruti Suzuki's K-series petrol engine with a mild hybrid system attached to it. But it's worth mentioning that in the Grand Vitara, this drivetrain also comes with the option of all-wheel drive. The other drivetrain is Toyota derived, so that's a 1.5 litre engine running the Atkinson cycle, and it obviously gets a proper battery and an e-motor which assists the petrol engine. The strong hybrid can start up in EV mode and can actually run in EV mode. There's a button which allows you to set it into EV mode, and as long as there's charge in the battery, it will run as an battery electric vehicle. But then when there are higher loads on the engine or when the speeds pick up, the petrol engine kicks in and fills in a lot more performance. Bookings for the Maruti Suzuki Grand Vitara are now open. You can book it at dealerships, you can book it online, you can also book it on the Metaverse, and apparently that's something that's never been done before. In terms of when it'll go on sale, we expect production to start in August, and you will see the cars hit the streets only in September. So we're still a while away from that. In terms of pricing, I expect it to be priced between 17 lakhs and 20 lakhs ex-showroom. This is going to be a little bit expensive because of all that hybrid tech. But it's a good looking car, it's an exciting car, it's packed with features, and being a Maruti Suzuki is going to reach a wide audience and should sell very well. Let's wait and watch.